Welcome to this tutorial in Illustrator to introduce some key foundational concepts to be able to create unique designs within Illustrator. So to start off, we always start with a new document. Now we're going to create a document that's the same size as our laser cutter bed, and so that is 800 by 450 millimeters. So I'd like you to click, you should have a custom option, and then you can come and edit the size over here. So you want it to be an 800 millimeter width and 450 millimeter height. Now if yours says points or something different, you can change it to millimeters here. I'd like you to put the orientation in landscape, and you also need to check that your color mode is in RGB color. Now that's really important because that's what the laser cutter picks up rather than CMYK. And I'm going to click create. Excellent. Now we can start with a few different things. I'm going to start with some basic shapes to show you first. So over on your left hand side in your toolbar, you can right click and there'll be an array of different shapes. So you can start with a rectangle. If I just click, I have the option to put in my own sizes. So if I start with 80 width and 80 height, it creates it for me. I can also click and drag and create it freeform myself. And then I can always change it if I come on the right hand side over in transform under your properties. So I can then change this. If I say wanted it 90 by 90, I could edit it there and it would make those changes. Now you have two different selection tools at the top, the selection tool and the direct selection tool. So if you use the selection tool, you can select whole objects and move them around. If you use the direct selection tool, you can directly select on certain components within shapes and start to edit them. So I can edit my rectangle or my square into very funky shapes, but that you can make more specific changes with the direct selection tool. I'm just going to delete that and I'm going to leave my plain rectangle. Now, other shapes, all sorts under here, the stars, polygons, eclipse. So if you want to create a circle, that's with this one, you'll notice that it starts, you can make more of an oval, or if I hold shift, it'll automatically lock to make a circle. So it'll fix the height and width. So again, I could just click and create one 80 by 80, and it'll automatically do it, or I could drag and make one freeform myself. So I'm just going to delete those excess ones and I'm going to leave these up the top for you. Again, you can always come in and change the size. That's always there for you. If you want something more of like a polygon, okay, again, I can click, I can choose the radius, and I can choose how many sides. So obviously 6 sides hexagon, 8 sides octagon, and it will create it for me. Can then come in and still, like always, change the size to increase it. Oops, it's supposed to be 80 by 80. Enter. There we go. Now, if we want to create more of our own shape, you can use two tools, the pen tool, or you can create the curvature tool. I'm going to start. This definitely requires a little bit of patience to play around with, but you will get the hang of it. So I can click to start. I can click again to create a second anchor point. And if I keep holding my mouse down, I can create an arc. So now I'm going to release and I'm going to bring it back down, maybe to make a bit of a rainbow. So click. I can click again. Oops. Undo because I just made a mistake. I want to click and hold. I'm going to create a similar sort of curve, release, down. So this one you can create a mix of straight and curved lines. So again, come in with my direct selection tool and I can edit any of these arcs, angles, or points or anchor points. Okay, I'm just going to undo and leave my nice little attempt at a attempted a rainbow. Oh, now it's gone all funky. Again, undo if I do something wrong. The other one you can play with is the curvature tool to create nice and easy curved shapes. So again, requires a little bit more playing with, but you can start to create nice round items and objects. So I'm just clicking and then moving my mouse. Okay, this would be good maybe for petals of a flower or all sorts. You can get really creative. Start to create all sorts of eggs and rounds. You can also, you know, the more I click, the more I could create a bit of a free-formed item, etc., etc. Just going to delete that one, leave my circles. Okay, and again, always come in with the direct selection tool and you can edit anything you've just created. So don't be too stressed when you start first because you can always edit and manipulate. Now if I wanted to, say, turn one of these oblong shapes around, I can come and just past the corner. You'll notice it comes up with a little bit of an arrow, and that's to rotate around and round. Now I can freeform rotate, say if I wanted to set it up to be like a bit of a petal, but if I wanted to lock it to rotation, I can hold shift on my keyboard as I rotate it. So it'll perfectly, you can go see 45, 90, etc. So if I wanted to perfectly rotate it at 90, it would allow me to do that. So the shift tool is quite powerful. Now I'd like to show you how to create a radial pattern. So that's something like this design here. So I'm going to do this with a round. Click, hold shift to create a nice circle. And I'm going to create a smaller one just offset on the angle. Now if I select both of those, I can come up to object, down to repeat, and I can repeat it radially. So you can see it has created a repeat for me. Now you can, once this has been created, you can then edit and change it as you wish. You can reduce the amount of instances of your repeat. You can add more. Again, up the top here, there are lots of different ways you can do it. You can reduce the size, increase the size. I might do 6 is good. Great. Now if you notice that maybe you wanted to change the placement, I can double click in and I can change the placement of these individually. So say I wanted to move that one slightly more off so it is a bit more in the center, I can edit these. So again, double clicking on my original, I can make this bigger and you'll notice that it has changed the rest of the items as well. Okay, hold shift, keep it. Okay, and now I'm just going to come back out with my back arrow up the top because I've just gone into all those layers. So you can create really simple designs using the radial patterning tool as well. Okay, other examples are like this, and again you can create really interesting designs if you put a bit more time into them, but all using the radial tool technique. You'll be able to see this one's done with 3 different repeats. Excellent. Oops, let's come back to my main screen. The next skill I'd like to show you is how to use the align and distribute tools. So I'm just going to start by creating a series of, I'm going to create a series of circles. Now once I've got the circle shape I like, or the size I want, if I want to copy it multiple times, I'm going to hold Alt on my keyboard. It is much faster than using the copy and paste, and it will just allow me to drag off an identical replica. I'm going to pop it all in there. So you can see I've got 6 circles in a row, all identical. Now instead of me trying to come in and individually line them all up, what I can do is highlight them all, come down, and you have an align option down here. So I can align them all to the center. So here I've vertically